Hi, everyone. Okay, it's time for science. And I wanted to go back to the last assignment you had and help you finish it because I think there was something there that was a little difficult. So, on the scavenger hunt worksheet, you had to look around your home for solids, liquids, and gases. And I think the first two were pretty easy, but gas was probably a difficult one. And I think it would have been very difficult, maybe impossible, to fill in this column. So that's what I'm going to help you with today. Now, many gases, especially important ones, are invisible. In fact, the most important ones can't be seen, they can't be smelled. So they're all around us, but it would be difficult for you to know where to look and how to identify them. So let's start with one we have talked about before, oxygen. This is the most important gas for us. Our bodies need it. In fact, when we exercise and take deeper breaths of fresh air, which has a lot of oxygen, we do great things for our body, especially the brain. The brain needs oxygen. That's what the blood does. The blood takes oxygen to the brain. And oxygen also makes up something called ozone, which we've talked about before, which is like a shield that protects us from some of the dangerous kinds of light from the sun. Let me show you what I mean. So, of course, there's the sun shining down on the earth, and there are lots of different kinds of light that come from the sun. And we have this shield. You can see that white line that was just drawn. It's very, very thin. You can't see it, of course, called the ozone. And the ozone lets the good light in, but some of the bad light just bounces right off it. So it's very important for us to do good things for the earth so we can keep that ozone layer. Sometimes we put chemicals in the air which damage it. Anyway, that ozone is made up of oxygen. So oxygen is very, very, very important. So that's one thing you can add to the list. Helium is another gas that we've talked about. It's a very light gas. It can ignore gravity and go right up into space. Without this, our balloons would just sit on the floor. And helium is also important because it was used in airships. It still is. You may have seen the Goodyear blimp at a sports event or something like that. And these ships are making a comeback. They're slow, but they're very clean. They don't really cause any harm to the environment. So don't be surprised if you look up one day and see one of these things. And here's an interesting fact about helium. It was discovered by looking at the sun. They didn't even find it here on Earth at first. And they call it helium because helios is the Greek word for sun. So helium just means the gas on the sun. Okay, here's one that a lot of people might have had on their worksheet, carbon dioxide. Now, this is what we exhale. So when we breathe out, we get rid of the carbon dioxide that we have inside of us. And it's what the trees breathe in. Remember, we talked about how we share our breathing with trees. It is very common. Our body makes it all the time. Now, too much carbon dioxide in the air is not good for our planet. That's why it's important to plant trees. They can help control it. So if you ever get a chance, see if you can buy a baby tree, a sapling, and plant it somewhere. You'll be happy that you did. Okay, neon. This gas is used in signs all over the world. It glows when electricity touches it. So, neon gas, you wouldn't know it if you were near it. You can't see it, you can't smell it. But once electricity touches it, it glows. But it's a safe gas. And I'm sure you've seen signs like this in lots of different places, especially pizzerias. Okay, and neon is used for other things, but here's a gas that we use a lot and probably never thought of when we did this assignment. Well, even though water is a liquid, guess what? It's got hydrogen in it. Hydrogen and oxygen make up water. In fact, have you ever heard of H2O? The H is hydrogen and the O is oxygen. What's the 2 for? The 2 just means that we take two small pieces of hydrogen and one piece of oxygen and we make water. And now there are cars which use hydrogen instead of gasoline. So gasoline that you put in your car is a liquid, but hydrogen gas is just, it's a gas. And they just fill your car with it, and there you go. And it's very clean and very safe. And the great thing about hydrogen is there is so much of it. We could probably never use up all the hydrogen that there is in the world. So there you go, boys and girls. On your worksheet, you can add these gases. Now, there are lots more that I haven't mentioned here. In your home, there's probably something called a carbon monoxide detector, not carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, which is a super dangerous and poisonous gas. And in your home, you probably have a little, it almost looks like a fire alarm, and it'll start beeping if it detects that you have that gas in your home. So there are lots of other gases, but let's just stick with these for now. And gases, they're a funny thing. You can't see them most of the time, but we know they're there. And that's not so strange if you think about it. I mean, you can't see the wind, but you know it's there because you see things moved by the wind, right? And you can't see love, but you can certainly feel it, right? So there are lots of things out there that exist. We just can't see them. The end.